Hi, my name is Quinn Hodge, and I'm running for CSUCI Student Government President.
And I'm Stacy Ryan, and I'm running alongside Quinn as Vice President.
Hi, Dolphins. My name is Jonathan Chang, and I'm running for Student Government Vice President.
Hi, I'm Stephen Giles, and I'm running for president.
I am Jonathan Dean, and I'm running for Student Government President.
My name is Efren Garcia. I'm running for Vice President.
Hello Dolphins, my name is Emily Conde. I am running for ASI Student Government President. I am a sophomore and my major is pre-nursing with a minor in health science.
Hi guys, my name is Rocio Banda and I'm a sophomore as well. I am currently a psych major with a minor in art and I'm very excited to be running as Vice President.
So the first question we have for you is, what experience or skills do you bring that make you a strong candidate?
Ooh, I like these questions already. Okay, so in my position, I've been doing student government work for a very long time, even before I came to CI, starting in the 4th grade, where I was in my elementary school student government as a historian. And even then further, I continued moving up, being president of previous clubs, as well as being on the board and serving for multiple different clubs in high school. Outside of that, I've been a student advocate since I was 13, speaking at multiple different rallies, as well as working with local politicians, one mayoral candidate and one school board candidate. On top of all of that, I am a political science major, and I have been doing politicking outside of local politics for many years now, speaking on behalf of not just students, but also speaking on behalf of the queer community and other communities that I fall into.
And likewise as quiz, I am also a major in political science alongside global studies, environmental communication, as well as minors in peace and conflict resolution and history. So I like to touch on as many different areas as I can and interacting with lots of people. So for me, I'd say the skills that I bring are is connection, understanding one another, culture, and community. These are things that I have followed my entire life. I have traveled to many places throughout my lifetime and yes, I truly believe that connection is the foundation that you need to have a strong community. So I believe we can bring together people on CSUCI. That is a start to success.
Oh, I can go first with that. So, I feel like being a STEM major, so I'm doing math as my major. I bring a different, I guess, set of skills than if you were just doing like poli-sci, or say, yeah, like say like a poli-sci for example. Because in my classes, I've taken a lot of math classes, and it's very analytical, I would say. But I want to put the perspective of, I think people are more than just like numbers in my math classes. I want to think of them as people, and I want to bring that unique take to like being the president of Channel Islands.
Well, building off of Steven, because we're both STEM majors, I'm a computer science major, we want to well, we want to push this idea of inclusivity. We know that many people here are not STEM majors. You know, there's business, poli-sci, pre-law, nursing, a lot of nursing. So we want to bring what he said, the perspective of STEM majors into student government. Not saying we won't listen to all the other student population. We just want to bring in another perspective into how the student government addresses problems, ideas, changes.
So I do have experience in student government. I was sophomore class president, junior class president, and ASB president in high school. That was a while ago. I do have, I'd say, strong leadership skills, and definitely I understand the importance of being a good listener. I think that my active listening skills and my genuine interest in people, getting to know them and their needs, I think are probably some of my most valuable skills that I'll bring to the role as president. Also, I would say that I'm not necessarily motivated by like career ambitions. I am doing this to serve the CI student population, and so understanding a little bit of data science and the use of surveys I plan to put my feelers out there to see what the student needs are and to how to make CI feel like home for everybody.
I have no experience in student government or any of that political science subjects, but I have been working in the mental health field for over 5 years, and I've been exposed to a large range of different personalities, different types of people, different cultures. I have a lot of experience with working with large groups of people and coming together and attacking a goal together. So I feel like I would say I have strong leadership skills, communication skills, ability to kind of sit in a room and have different opinions being spoken to or spoken about, and then just coming to a conclusion together. So I'd say my strongest point is just listening to people's needs and figuring a way we can kind of find a resolution that can benefit all, not just one specific demographic or group of people.
Definitely results oriented problem solving skills. Yeah,
I agree.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll start off. I have been in student government since my freshman year. This is my second year in student government, and I've served as the chief of staff, which has been so far an amazing position. I have been able to learn so much from that position, starting off from freshman year. Freshman year, I was never would I have thought that I would be in the position that I am in today. Student government has brought in so many qualities in my life that I just can't explain how special it's been. And I've been able to meet with students. I've been able to help the needs of students. I have been able to meet with I've been committees. I have met with higher faculties here in campus, and I feel like I've really been able to understand what are the student needs and how I can be there to support them.
Well, to piggyback a little bit off of what Emily said, I right now am currently a resident advisor in housing, and I also meet with a lot of different faculty and staff and residents of mine, and I listen to a lot of issues that are going on campus from very different perspectives, and I think that right now is really why I want to run as vice president, and stand alongside Emily and just support her in any way I can. I think it's very important for us to advocate for CI and any changes that we do want to make.
The next question we have for you is, what are your top priorities if you get elected?
Well, I've noticed a lot of things being on campus. I fill many shoes and I walk around in them 20 times a day, sometimes wearing multiple at once. And there are a lot of things across the board that I've noticed. In engaging with student research, I've noticed that a lot of students feel disengaged, and not even intentionally. It's so often that I'll be talking to people and they'll be like, wait, what? We have something going on campus right this second? Or wait, we have access to resources that can help us write our resumes or get our transcripts in check or help us plan our schedules. And it worries me very much because these are people that I have grown to care about. These are people that were like me last year, or maybe don't even know how to fill out a FAFSA, or maybe don't know how to access scholarships. There's a lot of wonderful things that the school offers, and one of my top priorities is going to be increasing student engagement through as many means as possible and increasing the transparency of different things we have available to further connect students with what they deserve.
Absolutely, and to bounce off of Quinn, I do also notice within students that I engage with on campus that they feel very disconnected and they do not know what events are happening. So a priority would be, again, making that CSUCI culture, actually feeling engaged, whether you're a commuter or you live on campus. It's very important that we diversify the community.
One of my top priorities is I wanted to help decongest the parking in school because I know for a lot of students it's very hard to find parking. And another one that I had was I wanted to help reduce costs in the sub. I wanted to lower it for students who can have difficulty with that. And I wanted to make more open because I think some students, I'm not sure quite how many, but I feel like I want to make more open to like scholarships for students who might be struggling or don't quite know how to do it by themselves. I want to make that more open to them.
And from what I said earlier and what we were building off from the first question, we really want to push that idea of inclusivity. I was part of many on-campus activities here, and from talking with people from my classes or talking about the activities, a lot of them wish that they would have gone or participated. And when asking them why, they said that they didn't really feel like they would have been included or they would have felt at home there. And we really want to push that idea of inclusivity, welcoming anyone from any major, you know, any wherever they may stand, we want to include them into campus life.
So, top priorities um, will be to do things that bolster school pride and a sense of community. I definitely want to bring more of the commuters into sort of the community here as student life and not just coming and going to class. I definitely would like to see how we can work together to benefit like the sports program here. I think that that's a big part of student athletes, you know, person and who they are, and I think that that's a side that's I don't want to be critical and say it's under nurtured here, but it's definitely something that there's a need to nurture those things, and we need to figure out ways to increase student enrollment. Obviously, I think a lot of people understand right now that we're having budget cuts and reducing the size of programs around campus and making course cutbacks, and I think a lot of that is due to enrollment size. And so, one of my main goals would be to help CI to grow in prestige and build on the successes that CI has been having. Back in February, I think we were recently awarded the RCU status, which is Research College and University by the Carnegie Foundation. And that means that as a small school, we're punching way above our weight class in the research department. And I'm not sure that the community at large is made aware of that. And so I'd like to work with communications to really highlight the student success here and the faculty successes of the research that we're doing on campus, and hopefully attract more talent and more students that want to come here. Channel Island is supposed to be, or we are a regionally serving university, and we have a lot of students from other areas, which is great, but somehow we're missing the mark on local students enrollment coming to Channel Islands, and that could be due to a number of factors, which I plan to use a data-driven approach, surveys and polls. I plan to do a lot of hands-on, pounding the pavement and finding out what types of things we can do around here to make Channel Islands more attractive to more students to come. And for the students that are already here, I would really love to make CI really feel like home for them, both commuters and residential students. So there's a sports program, and just also to create what I like to call a dolphin culture. Dolphins swim together in a pod, and I don't think there should be anybody out there who knows nobody on campus. I'd like to encourage everybody to meet somebody new every day. I have some different ideas on ways to make dolphin meetups, and encourage potentially maybe leading by example of having a genuine interest in getting to know people, but maybe we can organize a way to have dolphin meetups where we can, sit down and have coffee with somebody new, encourage everybody to get to know somebody new every day. What else should we...
I think culture is a very important thing for us, because I feel like me and Jonathan both believe that there's a lot of potential for a stronger sense of community here, especially with a lot of the amount of resources we have here, like CAPS and all these learning communities. I think that benefited a lot of us, and especially me and Jonathan, being part of the TLC group really build a stronger connection with our peers, and I feel like that really benefited us a lot in our grades and our study habits. That we all learn from each other, and I think that wouldn't be possible if the school didn't offer such groups like the TLC.
That's right, and again, I don't want to criticize CI. I love the school, and I've really fallen in love with this school, and that's really why I want to serve. And but we do have kind of a relatively low graduation rate, and I'd like to look into why that is and see if there's any way we can bridge that gap. If there's students that are falling through the cracks, and possibly that could be a social thing. And if that's a social thing, then that's something that's in our direct control. We can directly impact that, just in the way we treat each other and care for each other, and support each other on this academic journey. It's not just about grades. It's about your social life, dating life, everything. And we can be supportive of each other, and just walk together or swim together, as fellow dolphins. And so I just want to do everything within our sphere of influence to make a difference here on campus in that regard as well.
So I think we mainly focused a lot on student involvement. We have been received, me being in student government for the past 2 years, the biggest concern that we receive is there isn't much student involvement here in campus, and that's something that we mainly want to do spike up. We also been wanting to promote mental health. Mental health is not also something that's been heard around in campus much, so we definitely want to be a happy school and support people with mental health, something that I feel like isn't really talked about around in campus. And I don't know if you want to go on.
Yeah, well, I know student engagement we also talked about a lot, but another thing was student enrollment. Especially in housing, I would love to get more people to know about CI. And one way to do that was student engagement, and which is why it's one top thing that we were discussing. And like she said, mental health also goes alongside student engagement, because if we have activities to do on campus and events where people can come and be able to express themselves, enjoy themselves, and have a good time despite all the academic stress that goes on, I think it's a good way to have that happen and to coincide within each other. So student engagement and student enrollment is something that we are trying to look into, and just brainstorm ideas on that, really.
And we also really want to focus on sports here in campus. Our sports are not really talked about well enough, and I feel like sports is where all the enthusiasm is and all the pride of CI. So we definitely want to help with sports. We want to collab with sports teams. We want to hear out their thoughts and idea, have students show up to their game and be a supportive school. So we're definitely going to be working with sports, hearing them out, and supporting them as much as we can. So definitely looking forward to that. What else?
I believe we also discussed
we've heard a lot of, from what I've been in student government, we've heard a lot of different things saying there isn't enough, the library closes very early, we don't have enough time to study in there. So that's something that we do on little improvements, making more study spots here in campus. We want to expand the library hours, just giving the students more opportunities. So we're definitely trying to hear students out and really hear what they're looking for here in campus. And I feel like because we have some sort of, how do I say it? Structure, because we know how to interact with students, me being in student government and Rocio being an RA, we could really make that happen. So we're really excited for that.
The next question we have for you is, what policy platform are you running your campaign on?
Our policy is running on so many different things. As said before, transparency is a big one for me, as well as increasing accessibility on campus, as well as inclusion on campus. In times like these, where in the world everything feels really uncertain, in my opinion, systems like the CSU stand as beacons of hope for students, as we are the #1 system in California in promoting economic growth and social growth as well. I think when we look at things like that, we need to focus on upholding what this school and what this system stands for. What that system stands for is the students. Being a voice to those students are more important than almost anything else to me.
Absolutely. And again, as Quinn said, increasing the transparency is absolutely huge. There are so many resources on campus that we should be taking advantage of, and we should know where our finances are going, what options we have, what advantages we can take, what opportunities we can take advantages of. I truly believe it's something that CCI needs people to drive for.
Oh, for me, I wanted to help specifically with the CI app. Like for that, I wanted to incorporate that like more like with my parking idea. I wanted to help like students like report like, oh, if this parking lot is like congested or there's like no space available to like report it and be like, okay, it turns into like a red zone like on the map. And I wanted to use the CI app more too because it's a service that the school provides, so I feel the students should use it more because like or else the school is just kind of wasting money on this thing that we have, but students don't feel the need to use it.
For both of us, we want to make it feel like everyone's heard. So we host sessions outside in Central Mall where people can voice whatever changes or ideas for changes that they may have, and then we can voice those to, um, you know, Senate or anyone else who can really make an impact into student life here. And yeah, we just really want to hear what you guys have to say.
So yeah, definitely want to, um, bolster the sports programs as much as we can, and encourage everybody to get involved in the research opportunities here on campus. Um, is it also, yeah, the dolphin culture that we touched on before? I would just love it to like, maybe do some kind of kindness challenges or some fun way to encourage people to just say hi to each other as they walk past. I mean, there's so many people who are just, and maybe they're just focused in their thoughts, but I feel like, I think it could really enrich the whole experience for everybody if we just kind of get to know each other and come together more as a family, and embrace the things that we have in common and also our differences, just to really make this campus feel like home for everybody, make everybody feel included and supported. What else was it? I'm like kind of like.
I think
There's
sense
on
of
the
belonging is
spot.
a really strong point for us, and I feel like, as Jonathan mentioned, sports would be a really good starting point to create that sense of belonging. Like every Friday night, you have something to do after class, so you're gonna go to the game, whether it's like football or a basketball game, a volleyball game. It's just there's more outlets for students to either meet, or even if you join the sport, it would be a sense of belonging outside of the school, besides academics.
Encourage spectators to come to these sporting events as well. We may only have a limited amount of funding, but we can, I think, rally around the athletes, the student athletes, to support them in their endeavors as well.
As previously mentioned, we also were discussing a lot about student funding and just funding in general and where our money is going. For example, CAPS is a very big um, service here on campus that a lot of students use, and I think it's important to really figure out where funding is going and where it's most needed. Another important program that we do use is basic needs. I know I myself as a student always pass by and grab quick snacks and stuff like that. So just making sure that these programs continue to have funding and also advocate for other programs to have funding as well is very important, and it's a policy that me and Emily also want to push as well.
Yeah, adding on to the fundings, like also ASI as a whole, ASI to us, I feel like ASI is a big part of here at the campus community. And because of ASI, we don't have our amazing events thrown by SPB. We don't have our CI View, which provides the Newly newspaper every Friday, and then student government, who advocates for our student needs. So, I mean, it's important to make sure that our fundings are going to and that they're helping us in whatever these ASI programs need, and that's why it's so important. And then also another policy that we've talked about was a lot about mental health. Mental health is something, like I've said before, that is not really talked about or well expressed. And I know that I have, from the past 2 years that I've been here, I have seen where they have brought in like ponies, miniature ponies. They have brought in dogs, which is such an amazing, I feel like, opportunity and just such a great moment because I feel like students really love it. You know, being there, I mean, even myself when I'm there, I feel like the happiest I've ever been. And it just feels like a great way to de-stress and just be there for, you know, for students, especially when it's finals, when it's midterms, all that stuff. So it's important to have the resources for mental health be there for students 24/7. And I know that CAPS is an amazing way to be there for students, and I really enjoy that. So hopefully collaborating with CAPS and making these nice events for students would be an amazing opportunity.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing CAI students, and how would you address them?
In my own personal experience, I would say one of the biggest challenges for CI students is all about financial things. A lot of those are out of our control. However, increasing accessibility to the resources that can help you with financial tools is huge, as mentioned before. But genuinely speaking, I myself come from a lower privilege background. I had to rely on applying to, I believe I applied to 74 total scholarships before coming to CSUCI in order to even pay half of my tuition. I have been working since I was 12 years old between multiple different jobs, as well as doing volunteer work and maintaining a 4.0 GPA. And so, when it comes down to it, students should have access to these services, and not only that, but student jobs on campus help it so that way students can maintain themselves and keep themselves in education, which is incredibly important. I myself work here on campus.
Likewise, I do believe one of the biggest challenges is this connection to have with your campus, with your community. Again, daily there are so many events and gatherings happening on campus. I believe students need to actually hear about these. There needs to be more promotion. There needs to be more outreach to the community.
I feel like the students' voices aren't heard enough on campus. I think it tends to get like overlooked 'cause I feel like we don't do enough surveys. Like we do have events on campus, but I feel like we need to like increase or gather more of the interest of the students because currently I feel like it's not for them. It's just kind of they throw an idea out there and like if it works well, then they'll rerun that event. But if it doesn't, then they just kind of they're not sure what to do.
I feel like the biggest problem, especially with the current political state of the U.S. right now, it's probably security. With a lot of what's happening on the news of deportations, ICE, we really want to make sure that people know that they're safe here on campus. We don't want them to fear and hide away, you know, in their dorms or at their home. We want them to be thriving here on campus, you know, attending activities on campus, things that the student union hosts, other activities here, other programs, you know.
Biggest challenge.
I would say, I feel like we kind of sort of touched up on it in the last two questions, but I feel like student engagement might be a difficulty. But I feel like again it goes back to the cultures. Like there's a lack of maybe we're not giving maybe perhaps the students the confidence to maybe feel open to have conversations with one another. Like Jonathan states, like we're always so busy, like maybe it's lost in thought or thinking about the next assignment. But I feel like the more opportunities we give students, whether it really gets them engaged or not, it gives them that sense of knowing that there's this community being built, whether you're engaging or not. Like as long as we have a space, or as well, what to say, encourage more of that social aspect of school. I feel like that would benefit a lot of the either current students or even oncoming students. Because if we set up a culture as before they arrive, they already get that sense of openness in the on campus.
And I'd just like to add on to that. I think that you know, the commuters maybe feel like not as connected to this campus and to the environment here, and so again, I'd like to do surveys and polls. I'm calling it a bridge survey where I'll literally stand out there at the bridge from the parking lot and ask people what things that they, what challenges that they face, or what things that can we do to make them feel more connected or be more involved, encourage them to do things like that. But everybody's got different challenges across the board, so it's kind of hard to pin down the one that affects everybody the most. But definitely as a school, collectively we are facing some serious budget cuts and a reduction, I think, and our enrollment is a big part of that. And so if we can address that, that'd be great.
That's a great question. I love answering this question. Okay, so pretty much something that I've seen a lot is that because we are mainly focused on a commuter school, it's a little hard for students, to be more involved. So definitely, making commuter students, housing students, bringing them together is actually, I feel like, a great opportunities, to being heard and all that stuff. So I definitely see that there is some challenges sometimes because, it's a commuter school and not many students, can relate to other students. And I think sometimes the problems that we face even with making events is that, will we have students show up? Will we have students that will be supportive? Do we have students that will show us what their needs are? So it's sometimes hard because we are a small school. CI is a very small school, but that doesn't mean anything. Making sure and being there that we're out there for the students, it's what mainly matters the most. And I think just being welcoming is what it's important. And there will be challenges where some people won't show up to the event. Some people won't participate as other schools have done in various events. But it's important that we show welcoming to students and have them understand that.
Yeah, as you said, it is a small school, but I think that's a good thing because, yes, it's a small school, but that just means that we can build a closer community and better connections. So through that, I think one issue that I do see students have is going to events, and that is not only because they can't. It's more because there's so many events going on here on campus. It's hard, and it can be hard to keep track of what's happening where. And so one thing I would love to possibly do is collab with ASI as housing, or have bigger events that are gonna bring more people in, more students in, so that students get to know each other, as she mentioned, commuters or just students here on campus, and they can have an environment where they are de-stressing and able to enjoy themselves and get to know other people here on campus. Another issue as well, I would say, is having more things on campus for residents or students that live on campus to do. It is a large commuter school, which is why I understand why some things might not cater as much to people who live on campus. But people who do live on campus are here a lot of the time because we're so secluded. We're in a more secluded area. So I think it's important to keep that in mind and have events or have little pop-ups that benefit students here on campus as well. And small things like having the cafeteria open for longer, or having it open during break, or issues like that is where I see students struggle with. And me and Emily really just want to be able to have a campus where it caters to not just a specific group, but really just students in general, and just being open and mindful of these issues and trying to incorporate these into our goals is really what we're trying to do here. So.
And the last question we have for you is, how will you ensure that student voices are heard in discussions with campus administration?
One of the things that's so off with almost any level of leadership is promoting one's own beliefs. However, when you take on a role like president or vice president, you are in a seat where you speak for many. One of my goals is to create more opportunities for students to be able to speak their voices to us, hopefully, potentially, and to then be able to communicate what their current needs and desires are on a consistent basis. So, yeah, ensuring that students are consistently listened to by our staff and by the people who are talking to admin is definitely going to be one of the things we work on.
Absolutely, and working alongside other resources and other vendors on campus. Again, I'll be mostly directly working with Senate, potentially, hopefully. And by that, I aim to amplify student voices and actually get in touch and bring action to the table. There is a lot of talk happening at all times, however, the action is going to be the core foundation as well as communication. Gotta balance them.
Balance is key.
Indeed.
Yes, because in order to run a school, you can't just have all teachers, you can't just have all admin, you can't just have all students. If all three don't come together, and if all three are not heard equally, then you're not going to reach in conclusions and decisions that are going to benefit all three in the best way possible.
I think I touched on it earlier with some surveys. I want to get more in-person surveys rather than online, because I feel like for online you can kind of just skim over in emails, because I know for me I do that a lot, but like I feel like if it's in person and I'm like, okay, I can see it and then I can just do it like on the paper or something like that, just because I feel like that's really important for students, just to get them filled out so we understand what they would want on campus.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, we would host sessions out in Central Mall where this student population can come meet us. We want to be on that personal level with them. We don't want to be, some two people behind a screen just looking at like answers. We really want to hear what you have to say.
First of all, to listen, create opportunities for the students at the general student population at large to give me input, and then I can then, after receiving their input, just be a firm voice. I will not be intimidated. I will not be compromised because I'm in the president's office or around a congressman. I'm gonna advocate for the best interests of Channel Islands, no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with Jonathan. I think the first step would be seeking students and actually asking them, like, what is it that they think that we can improve? Because I feel like everyone has a different perspective, and I think the most important perspective would be students, because we're always here, we're being affected by everything that's being done from top down, and I think maybe students don't feel as much as heard as people think they are, and I think surveys and polls would benefit us all greatly. We can get a large amount of data and we can present that data, and I think that would be really beneficial moving forward.
As well as just getting around and talking to people face to face, not just Qualtrics surveys, but literally, just getting to know more people on campus and being visible, being available, being around on campus so people can, and being approachable. So yeah, and then in the meetings, I look forward to being in those environments and communicating with administration, and then the state legislative bodies, and as the CSU system gathers, being a voting member and representing the CI population with the vote that the president has. And when state legislatures come and say, hey, we want you CSU collectively to support this bill, I'm going to say, well, what's in it for us? Because that's politics, is a give and a take. It's not just, oh, okay, hey, we're going to blindly support what you want, but we need something back. So yeah, so that's going to be my stance. I'm going to always advocate for CI no matter what.
So like we mentioned, we want to have events where students and faculty of all kind, whether that's professors or people in ASI or people in housing, can all come together and just be able to get to know each other a little more. And through that, you kind of familiarize yourself with who is in what position. And that way, if like students have issues or students have concerns that they want to bring up, they know a little bit more about that person in charge. So that's one thing.
Yeah, I will say that kind of like what Rocio was talking about, like a little meet and greet with professors and faculty and people from different heads from different departments is really important to, to meet and to understand what other students needs. And then also, as student government, we have the privilege to talk to heads of different departments. We are able to, in committees where we meet all these important people here from part of CI. So definitely, us as student government, starting community and, having students come to us, to not be afraid to come to us and tell us what their concern is super important. And from there on, we go on and we work and we make something happen, and that's how it goes. So I think it's really important, to have, like that said, that little meet and greet where we can meet, students can meet with these important people and have their voices heard, just so we could feel we're heard. Because I know that there is a big population of students that don't think that their voices are heard, or there's some certain things that are not talked about enough in campus. So, meeting with different faculty, with different staff members is important. And also, as like I've said, student government, we have the privilege of that, and we have the privilege of talking to different faculty members or even staff members. Like I've had the privilege to meet a bunch of different people and had to express the concerns that are the student needs, and from what I've known right now, and we have tried our best. So hopefully if we are elected, we can make that happen and it would be heard.
Yeah, like Emily said, it's just really about trying to have open communication with students. And I know as a student myself, last year I wasn't really informed about ASI or vice president and president, and like the power that they hold, because they honestly, like she has mentioned, do meet with important people. We do meet with President Yao. We meet with leaders of these different organizations that do affect our school directly. So I think it's just important to let people know that we as vice president and president do these things, and have a way to communicate with students, whether that's holding events or just sharing our email. We just want to hear students out and know about their concerns and know about the current issues and be informed of them and having that open communication. So
Our biggest goal is to make sure that student voices are heard, and that's what we're here to bring.